So I have Korean barbecue on the way over a dish called bibimbap. It's like kimchi, fried rice, some protein in it, some just kimchi, some pickled vegetables, things like that. And with that, there's a little bit of a spice to it. I think they put a gochujang sauce, and they have their own sauce at this place. Never ordered from here, so we'll see if it's any good, but that's really not the point. The point is what to pair with something like that. And with spice, you typically go with, I know there's a beef in it, but you wouldn't get red with this thing. Kimchi is kind of got a spicy, fermented taste. I think you need something that's a little off dry. So definitely white wine, but maybe a dry white might not be. It would probably work. A no oak, crisp, acidic, dry white. But an off dry would be even better. I don't know how off dry this will be. This is a 2001 Riesling out of Germany, a Spatlese. So that's a little bit riper it's more when they pick the grapes. They pick these on a second pass, Cabernet being the first, Spatlese second, Auslese, and then all the other variations of them picking the grapes, and obviously they get riper and riper as they do, so more residual sugar ends up staying in the grape. This has a very, very wet cork here. Let's hope it's not a corked wine. I don't know. Very old wine, 2001, so 20-year-old German Riesling. So if the cork's intact. Cork's intact. Very wet though. Not sure if that's a problem. Let's see. Really golden. So, really golden color for a Riesling. Doesn't smell corked. Smells like a little caramel, marzipan, honeycomb, some petrol, a little bit. Like an overripe fruit, like a date. But that's not overripe fruit, but it's a dried date. Maybe a very overripe pear. Everyone starts browning. Smells like it'll be a little bit sweet, but definitely has that very aged white character. Still a little nervous, but it looks like just I had it in my normal refrigerator. I didn't have room in my wine refrigerator, so it's probably kept a little too cold. I don't know much about anything on this except that's a 2001. I'm trying to see where it comes from. Doesn't really. Reading a German wine label is very difficult. Oh, the Mosel, so very big region in Germany for Riesling. I've mentioned this before. These are very low alcohol. This is only 8%. So that also just sort of pairs well with food. It won't overpower it. It should complement a dish like this, at least I hope. It's definitely a little off dry. Definitely a hint of sweetness. Younger, this would even be a little sweeter. I think as it's aged, when the sweetness goes away, still acidic. This is a very good wine. This is definitely going to pair really well. So this is exactly what I would want with spicy Indian food, spicy Thai food, and maybe spicy Korean food here. So I think this will actually work really well. It definitely has those aged white wine characters where there's like a honey thing going, and the marzipan. It's like a sweet lemon. Sweet lemon taste too. Not lemonade, but kind of, sort of. I like it. It's actually very easy to drink, very pleasant. It aged well. For a 20-year-old wine, it's got a deliciousness to it, a lusciousness. On the palate, it tastes like an overripe pear, not rotting but overripe. And like if a lemon was very sweet. Those are the two like predominant flavors. There's no nuttiness or anything in it. It's very good. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. Might be a little too cold. See how this opens up a little bit. It's actually extremely easy to drink. I know it's only 8%. It's probably why. Gosh, some beers are stronger than this, but I like it. I don't typically drink sweet wine. Again, this is just off dry, just a little bit sweet. So there is some, you can taste it. There's a little bit of lingering sugar, but I do believe it's a well-made Spatlese out of Germany, out of the Mosel, from the Riesling grape. And the acidity is there. So when there's a very sweet wine, what you don't want is a syrupy wine. That's like the worst. Like you're drinking like maple syrup or like a syrup. What you kind of want is a sweet wine, like Sauternes does this. Sauternes is the most expensive sweet wine in the world, and it's in France, south of Left Bank Bordeaux. And you know, the grapes are literally rotted, the noble rot, and then they concentrate the sugars. But there's an acidity to Sauternes that makes it, that cuts a little that sweetness. It's sweet, but it's not cloyingly sweet. That acidity keeps it separate, and it just has this delicious factor to it. This is nowhere as sweet as Sauternes, but with that acidity balanced with the sweetness, it works. That's how I think I prefer my sweet wines. Like every so often, I like an ice wine made of Riesling out of Canada, but I do that because there's a really high acidity to it. You can only have a little bit, just a little bit, sort of like a nightcap type of thing. Maybe after a big meal, settle the stomach. Very rarely I'm in the mood for it, but sometimes. So, keep it a little bit short, and that's it. The meal's on the way. I'll pair this. Anything to mention tomorrow with this, I certainly will. This is a fun little wine to try. I know it's getting towards the end of the year, so I expect some J.J. Buckley to do their end of year sale. That's where I got a lot of these aged Rieslings. I intend on getting a few more. They got one more left on 1999 Spatlese, so even a little older, a few years older. So that'll be fun to try, but I opted for the 2001 this time. So that's it. Have a good night.